So let's get going, and obviously from this weekend, the big news came on Saturday when Tim Anderson and Josh Donaldson, who had some beef from a week ago, were at it again. And this had to do with JD calling Tim Jackie multiple times. Tim was visibly frustrated about it, his teammates backing him up. And there's a story to all of this, but it's told in very different ways from Tim and from Josh. Listen up.
Yeah, he just made a, disrespectful comment. Basically was, trying to call me Jackie Robinson. Like, what's up, Jackie? I don't play like that. And I don't really play at all. I wasn't really, bothering nobody today. But, he made the comment, and, it was disrespectful. And I don't think it was called for. It was unnecessary.
First inning, I called him Jackie. So let me give you a little context of that. 2019, he came out with interviews, said that he's the new Jackie Robinson of baseball. He's going to bring back fun for the game, right? And 2019, when I played for Atlanta, we actually joked about that on the game. Obviously, he deemed that it was disrespectful. And look, if he did, I apologize. Like, that's not what I was trying to do by any manner. That's really, that's what happened.
And, of course, Tim Anderson's teammates backing him up. I mean, great comments and very candid comments, I think, from Yasmani Grandal and from Liam Hendricks. And Tim had later said, too, I'm never going to sleep this off. He is clearly bothered by it, and it happened twice in that game, and that really is what caused him to be like, all right, dude, enough. Like, who are you? What's going on? So what did you take from the weekend?
When is Jackie Robinson the punchline or some rib on somebody? Jackie Robinson is one of the greatest American heroes, right, who broke the color barrier, who changed the game, who made black people feel proud to be a part of this country, and to be using it as some sort of tool to dig at somebody, I have a problem with it. I really do. Did Josh have cancer jokes next? Was the next line of thought? I don't understand it. And again, when you say something and somebody tells you I'm offended, you just apologize and don't try to explain it or figure it out. And then to say, well, 2019, he called himself Jackie Robinson, but in a positive light, as if trying to bring fun into the game, that's something that was positive. That's not what Josh was talking about in his situation.
What did you think, D.A.?
I thought that overall, Josh Donaldson came off really poorly. I was waiting to hear his explanation, and then I heard it, and it was meandering, and it was not cogent, and I said, this doesn't make any sense. And then when you say it's an inside joke, but one of the guys on the inside doesn't think it's a joke, then that's not an inside joke. And then once Aaron Boone said on Sunday morning that he was distancing himself from it, that it came from a bad place, he didn't think it was right, I said, well, now the Yankees know it was wrong. And that's kind of the last chapter of this. The one thing I thought was kind of poetic and somewhat ironic is that in the article in 2019, Tim Anderson was talking about how isolated he felt in the game of baseball. In doing this, Josh Donaldson made the White Sox a family. I mean, they unified behind Tim Anderson in a big way. So if he felt isolated years ago, maybe largely across the league he still does. But, man, in that clubhouse, they had his back this weekend.
Yeah, this one doesn't seem as debatable. It's a clear cut, he did something wrong. And then there's another layer to this, is that, Joel, we might have some discipline at some point this week for Josh Donaldson.
Yeah, I think we should expect that there will be some kind of, I believe, suspension issued today. At some point, I would point out this. The only reason Josh Donaldson is on the field is because he's Josh Donaldson. This is his 7th organization. He's going to run out of teams before he runs out of talent. He runs out of teams because he doesn't know when to shut up, right? He's caused himself a lot of problems in various clubhouses with various teammates, with various opponents along the way. I would just say, I thought Liam Hendricks framed this well. You have inside jokes with friends, not with enemies, not with foes. So what is he doing invoking this name at this time? And by the way, why is an article from 2019 on your mind? I tell young reporters all the time, when you interview people, listen very carefully what they say back to you. Even if they're media trained, they tell you what's on their mind. People talk about what's on their mind. If this is what's on your mind on a field in the middle of May in 2022, what are you saying about yourself? You clearly did not define that in that post-game interview.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the thing also. Like Liam Hendriks said, I mean, these two are not best buds.
No.
As it is. Not right either way. And also, if you are tight with someone, there are a million other ways you can go for it to be just friendly banter.
Right. And this is just so off base. That's why you can't get anybody to come to Josh's defense. And even in the case you made with the Yankees, I mean, they got to look at him and go, what? And a 2019 article, that's what's on your mind today? Why would that be today? If that came out the week after the article, maybe I could buy it, maybe, but I can't do it 3 years later.
No.
And remember, he's the prize. They wanted a shortstop. Josh Donaldson's on the Yankees because they wanted a shortstop. They were the team that was willing to take on the $50 million that was left on his contract to get access to a shortstop, Isaiah Kiner-Falefa. The Twins had run out of he had been a productive player with the Twins. The Twins did not want him anymore. The message has clearly not reached Josh Donaldson that he needs to abridge some of this. He needs to edit himself better. This is, like, even if you take the best side of this argument for Josh Donaldson, why are you doing this? You have had trouble along the way. It's not about talent. Josh Donaldson's an incredibly talented player. You know, he's going to finish his career with over 300 homers. You know, he's got an MVP. You know, this is a talented player. He's been in 7 organizations. And so, where's the lesson along the way for a guy in his mid to upper 30s now? Dude, more than almost anyone in the game, you need to watch what you're saying and who you're saying it to.
Yeah, now we'll pay attention this week to see, what else transpires from this, including a potential penalty for Josh Donaldson. And DA, on your side, good point. I mean, the White Sox have had an start to the season. They're heating up right now. Tim Anderson's a stud. He's off to a really nice start. His team gets behind him, and they showed up big yesterday with a couple of wins. What do you think of what they're doing on the field?
The starting pitching that they got yesterday was huge on both ends of that doubleheader. Clutch hitting finally, which they were kind of without for a big part of the season. And when you heard every member of the White Sox reference this incident with family, it said something as perhaps a unifying force for this team. They've been supremely talented for a couple of years now, have not been able to put it all together. Maybe this is a launch point. And I'll tell you, for Josh Donaldson also, to use Jackie Robinson as a catcall, as some type of inside ribbing, as Rob said, is so distasteful. We just came a month away from this kind of magic moment that baseball celebrates every year.
The 75th anniversary of Jackie Robinson.
To use Jackie as some way to give an elbow to an opponent is so distasteful. It just kind of shows you who he is. And this is now back to the point we were talking about. You're going to run out of opportunities because not every clubhouse is going to want to defend you at this point in time, and the Yankees are forced to do so. It was a good weekend for the White Sox, maybe because this happened, and a bad weekend for the Yankees that now have to ask themselves, how much of the headache is it worth for Josh Donaldson?
Yeah, and how did you receive this for the White Sox? As I will say this, for as much as players get paid nowadays and looking at pro sports differently, and there's definitely every guy going out there with a slice of, I've got to take care of myself and be in this league and get paid. This is where the team unity factor does come in for sports in general of all ages.
We might look back at this weekend as the turning point to their season because they got off to such a bad start. The Yankees have been beating them up, and then they get a doubleheader sweep, at Yankee Stadium, and now it can turn around and maybe fuel them. They're the team that we thought before the season started would win the Central. The Twins come up, they stumble, and now they got a fight on their hands, but this could be the turning point.
Can I, to piggyback on that,
yes.
The irony alert. The Twins got rid of Josh Donaldson because they didn't want him anymore. And they got him to the Yankees, who just woke up the White Sox, who have the best talent in the AL Central. By the way, the Twins are in first place. That's the biggest advantage for the White Sox almost over anything. There's multiple teams in that division who have already no shot whatsoever, and they have lots of games against those teams. Minnesota is probably the only team that could stop the White Sox from winning the AL Central. On talent, the White Sox win. That talent hasn't fully played this year. Abreu, Grandal, essentially Anderson has played well. Maybe Luis Robert has played well, but it hasn't been all of their talent. And I do think it's advantageous. 30 teams could have had Johnny Cueto. They signed Johnny Cueto. He's given them, for whatever period, even if it's a little smoke and mirrors, it's given them a legit fourth starter at a time they needed a legit four starters behind what's three pretty good starters in there with Giolito, Kopech, and Cease. So they have the most talent in the division, and their strength is they are in possibly the worst division. And so they could stumble for a quarter of a year and still take off. And wouldn't it be great now if that was the playoff series?
And look,
the Yankees and the White Sox.
Yeah.
Listen, Donaldson is completely out of line. I'll let MLB and I will let the Yankees decide the intent. That's not for me to discuss. But as far as the actual Donaldson scenario is concerned, why in the world would you go there with his comments to Tim Anderson over the weekend, Saturday at Yankee Stadium, Friday rainout? Why would you go there with Tim Anderson? I guess he did it twice. We all know about the tag play last week in Chicago, which obviously agitated lots of members of the White Sox. Anderson himself. We're going to show you highlights. Oh, this is on Saturday. We all know that last year Donaldson had some issues with Giolito with the ball and everything else. So the White Sox and the Donaldson do not have a friendly relationship. And so Donaldson, who should know better, don't make that ass. Well, why are you saying that? He does it twice, and then Grandal gets upset, and then we have a major issue here down the road. Even Aaron Boone, the Yankee manager, said, although he didn't think there was any intent, again, that's up for the bats for MLB and the Yankees to decide. And the Yankees, obviously, he played yesterday in the first game with a doubleheader. MLB has not been heard from yet. But, I mean, why in the world? I don't understand what the point is. Because Anderson referred to himself as sort of a latter-day Jackie Robinson in a Sports Illustrated article 3 years ago. If that's how Tim feels about it, fine. Good. We need more Jackie Robinsons out there, not less. And Donaldson's got to go out there, and he does it twice, and he says, well, we've been kidding around for a long time. And then Henrik says, oh, no, they're not friends. And friends don't kid around like that. So why would you even think from that standpoint that's wrong? So, I mean, I just don't quite get where, again, we're down on. Now, listen, the Yankees, with Stanton and with Judge, Aaron Hicks, I mean, those players, they have to live with Donaldson on a day-to-day basis. So if they think there was an intent there, they're going to have to solve that. And Donaldson's going to have to solve it in his own locker room. And, so that's up to the Yankees and the third baseman to figure that out. But looking to cause trouble that way, and the idea that him and Tim Anderson are buddies, really? Why would anybody think that? Because Donald thinks that? Off the tag play in Chicago last week, I didn't get the indication they were buddies. Anderson didn't like it. So from the whole scenario is Donaldson's completely wrong from this quarter. And again, it's many more people more important than me. Talk to all sides, and we'll let them decide how they want to handle it. The Yankees obviously thought the relatively, and it was a mild apology. He said, well, if he thinks I need to give him an apology, I'll give him an apology. That's what Donaldson said Saturday night. If the Yankees feel that was sufficient, well, then the Yankees feel that's sufficient. And they played him yesterday in the first game with a doubleheader. We'll see what MLB does from Donaldson's perspective. I mean, to refer to Anderson as Jackie Robinson in a scathing, sarcastic way I just don't think the way you want to go if you're Josh Donaldson. So that was, and the White Sox, yes, he did a good job. Kopech pitched great. Good second game with a doubleheader. Yankee fans booing Anderson throughout the at-bats. I know a lot of the White Sox fans thought the Yankee fans doing that were low class. Yankee fans are going to support their own, so I wouldn't do that. Those fans spend a fortune to go to those games, a fortune. Wait all hours of the night. They don't get treated properly by the clubs as far as the rainouts and doubleheaders and everything else, and the beer prices and the parking prices. So, listen, the fans are going to do what they do. I don't think you need to call them low class. But as far as Anderson got the last laugh, he had a big home run in the eighth inning of that second game. And the Yankees, of course, go down quietly. The White Sox do a nice job, win this series at Yankee Stadium. We'll see how this comes down the road here with MLB. And if the Yankees have something to say about it, and I think the Yankees are going to pass the baton and stay out of it and let MLB do its investigation. I don't think the Yankees want anything to do with it. We shall see if that continues. So we keep an eye on that as far as the week is concerned.